You're on a date, aren't you?
It's hard to say at this point.
I'm so sorry.
Frasier Crane's love life is marked by a series of romantic misadventures, some hilarious, some heartbreaking. Today, we're revisiting 15 of his most ill-fated relationships.
I have a date tomorrow night. Oh, and let me check my calendar for Sunday. Oh yes, another date.
Throughout the series, he keeps chasing one perfect fantasy, the flawless relationship where he's charming, admired, and validated. And every time he tries to manufacture that moment, boom, Seattle hands him a humiliating twist. Let's start with Call Me Irresponsible, Season 1, Episode 7. Frasier gives a caller, Marco, solid advice. Stop stringing his girlfriend, Catherine, along. Great, ethical, helpful. But then Catherine storms into KACL to confront Frasier for ruining her relationship.
You disgust me, you parasitic fraud.
Well, that's certainly different from the usual best regards.
But their heated argument turns into mutual attraction. Frasier ignores his better judgment and begins a passionate affair with Catherine. As the episode progresses, Frasier is racked with guilt over violating professional ethics and effectively stealing Marco's girlfriend. Things go wrong when Marco calls Frasier's show again, saying he suspects Catherine has a new man, prompting Frasier to deceitfully discourage Marco from reconciling with his girlfriend.
Move to a new city, a new state. Find out why everyone's talking about Pittsburgh.
Frasier's inner conflict manifests physically. Every time he and Catherine get intimate, he becomes nauseated, an involuntary guilt response.
Every time we touch and kiss, I get queasy.
In the end, Frasier's conscience wins out. Mid-tryst, he pulls away and admits he feels sick because he's breaching his ethics. He breaks off the relationship, apologizing to a furious Catherine.
God, and to think I was gonna have sex with you.
When leaving, she delivers a parting shot about what could have been.
Neighbors pounding on the walls, illegal in 48 states kind of sex.
The relationship ends with Frasier alone, realizing his irresponsibility cost him both his ethics and the girl. This is a theme of the early seasons. Frasier is unlucky in love and often getting in his own way.
But hey, you're okay. You won't be alone tonight. No, you got your ethics.
Next up is Can't Buy Me Love, Season 1, Episode 14.
Sold to that very determined lady in the back row for $500.
Talked into a charity bachelor auction by his father, Frasier wins a date with the extremely glamorous supermodel, Christina Harper.
Dr. Crane? Christina Harper. I just bought you.
The evening of the date begins with high hopes. Frasier is delighted at the prospect of going out with someone so beautiful, preparing for a night of romance and fine dining. But things start to go awry quickly. She arrives at Frasier's apartment, but asks an outrageous favor. Could he babysit her 12-year-old daughter, Renata, while she has to do a last-minute modeling job? And she'll come back later for dinner.
Christina, I'm not really sure if I could. I'll make a lot of points for this, won't I?
When Renata starts criticizing her mother, Frasier believes her unquestioningly. He assumes beautiful means shallow, because Frasier's superiority complex doesn't need much encouragement. But it turns out that Renata has been telling tall tales about her mother. And there's no going back after Christina realizes what conclusions her date has jumped to about her.
My specialty is adult relations.
Well, you won't be having any of those tonight.
Frasier ends the evening humbled and wondering how he got outplayed by a young girl, and how he let such a wonderful woman slip through his fingers. 40-something, Season 1, Episode 20. Frasier faces an early midlife crisis upon turning 41, worrying that he's becoming old and irrelevant. When Roz teases him about his age and forgetfulness at KACL, this compounds it, sparking Frasier's early midlife crisis.
Niles, I'm 41. That's hardly middle age. Middle age is more like 50, 55.
Only if you live to be 110.
So when he meets Carrie, a 22-year-old saleswoman, he takes her flirting as proof he's still got it.
Oh, I bet you laugh at all your customers' jokes.
No, just the cute ones.
Carrie guesses he's in his mid-30s, and Frasier clings to it. Niles points out the obvious age gap, and Frasier quickly starts to debate the rights and wrongs of dating someone only a little over half his age.
Ask yourself, if you went out with her, would you be doing it because you're running away from your age, or because you think this has the potential to become a meaningful relationship?
When he finally decides to stop overthinking it all and ask her out for real, He goes to the department store to do just that, but she's already decided it would be a mistake.
I think us going out would have been really stupid.
Ouch. Next, The Matchmaker, Season 2, Episode 3. In this classic farce, Frasier plays Cupid for Daphne, inviting his new station manager Tom Duran to dinner in hopes of setting them up together.
My life's a gaping sinkhole, and I'm just marking time while the flower of me youth rots on the vine.
Daphne has been lamenting her lack of dates, prompting Frasier to take action and go into full matchmaker mode.
Oh, say, Tom, this may sound like short notice, but if you're not busy Saturday, why don't you come by my place for dinner? Nothing fancy.
This is where the classic Frasier misunderstanding starts. Tom thinks he's been invited on a date with Frasier.
Oh, he's okay.
Well, I hope he's more than okay. He just asked me out on a date.
Roz is the only one who hears Tom call it a date. And then, through the soundproof glass of the studio, Frasier dismisses her warnings, thinking she's trying to take Tom for herself. Tom arrives for dinner, and it is immediately clear they are still on completely different pages.
Do you have some problem with me dating your brother? No.
At dinner, Frasier gushes about Tom for Daphne's benefit, and Tom hears it as flirting. Frasier finally catches on.
You're cute when you're nervous.
Upon finding out that Tom is gay and is only interested in dating him, not Daphne, Frasier blurts out the truth.
We seem to have gotten our lines crossed here. The truth is, I'm entirely straight.
Tom is shocked. Frasier is mortified.
Frasier, I'll learn to love again.
Frasier is very apologetic. Realizing his own enthusiasm to play matchmaker started the entire misunderstanding. Tom keeps it good-natured on his way out, even teasing, "Your dad's not gay either?" Adventures in Paradise, Season 2, Episodes 8 and 9. Frasier meets Madeline Marshall, and he immediately decides she's the grown-up dream. Poised, smart, and totally his type. He tells Roz with great excitement.
It's possible that she could be the woman I spend the rest of my life with.
He talks her up with alarming intensity, then invites her to Bora Bora for a romantic getaway. There, of all the people in the world, they run into Lilith. She is there with her new boyfriend, Brian. Of course, this is also somewhere Frasier and Lilith had been together during their relationship. Instead of enjoying the trip with Madeline, Frasier starts comparing with, competing against, and fixating on Lilith. He cannot let it go and cannot live in the moment with his new romantic partner that he's so fond of.
Brian is a seismologist at MIT.
Oh, well, that's perfect. Brian being a seismologist and you having so many faults.
Instead of being mature about it, he continues to try to one-up Lilith and her new man in increasingly insane ways. After this behavior, he and Madeline leave Bora Bora with hopes of further dating seemingly dashed. But back in Seattle, Frasier arranges to make amends with Madeline at his apartment, and all is going very well, which is the sign that something is about to go very wrong.
It's nice to see you, too. Is Frasier here? Don't you live in Boston?
Madeline sees what's happening. Frasier's past looms too large over his present life, so she cuts her losses and leaves.
Take all the time you need. This whole thing's just a little too complicated for me.
This is a pattern that recurs a few times throughout the series. Frasier leaps from first impression to big expectations, and his unresolved history pulls the rug out from underneath him. You Scratch My Book, Season 2, Episode 15. Next up, Frasier meets Dr. Honey Snow, the relentlessly upbeat self-help author who he tries to date even though her pop psychology approach to life makes him cringe. At the event, he can't help having a snarky attitude to her fans. But then he gets the chance to meet her, and she greets him with a hug, not a handshake, as is her trademark.
Oh, what am I saying? Hug.
Why not?
And although he is delighted about the hug, Frasier plays along with the rest, while silently judging what she represents.
My publisher's giving me a dinner tonight at 7 at Bianchi's. Would you come as my guest?
But when Honey asks him out, he agrees, compromising his principles, yet again, for an attractive woman who shows an interest in him. When they start dating and she asks him to write a foreword for her upcoming book, Frasier tries to wriggle out of it,
Actually, there are so many other people that would be more qualified to write for such an important work.
And before long, he's being trotted out as her intellectual stamp of approval. But this doesn't last long, as his principles compel him to come clean.
Oh, I can't write the foreword.
When she asks why not, he tells her the truth. When she insists he explains what exactly he doesn't like about her books, Frasier tells more truth.
I thought your first 3 books were trite and saccharine.
The moment his principles and his snobbishness show, he somehow thinks that he will be forgiven. But Honey ends it, gently but firmly.
A poet once said something about the world that I think applies to our relationship. It ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
It certainly ended with a whimper. The Adventures of Bad Boy and Dirty Girl, Season 3, Episode 7.
I mean, why all this friction between us? You know, for my own part, your intolerable smugness reminds me of my ex-wife.
Frasier and station manager Kate Costas can't stand each other. He thinks she's too corporate and pleased with herself, and she thinks he is arrogant with an ego the size of Seattle. When Frasier becomes the leader of the staff negotiations to get a better deal, this animosity inevitably turns into a fling.
Kittenish?
I could climb you like a scratching post.
The next day, Martin gives him simple, cool your engines advice, with no idea how combustible this will be.
A woman comes on too strong, you just tell her to cool her engines. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Martin's advice leads to Kate and Frasier analyzing the previous evening in the studio.
Ever since I've gotten here, you have done nothing but irritate me like a persistent skin rash.
And soon they're revisiting what makes them work together, and before you know it, they are all over each other again.
Yes! Yes! I am a bad boy, aren't I? You dirty girl.
Back at home, Martin, Daphne, and Eddie hear the recording, and they freeze. Niles is listening in from his car. The next day, Bulldog is congratulating Frasier for what all of Seattle heard live on air.
Doc, I got one thing to say to you.
Go ahead, take your best shot.
I'm so proud of you, man.
Kate and Frasier's secret relationship continues a little longer, with their mutual attraction hard to ignore. But a few episodes later, she accepts a job in Chicago, bringing her time at KACL and this relationship with Frasier to an end.
Good night, Dr. Crane.
Ms. Costas?
Police Story, Season 3, Episode 20. On his birthday, Frasier gets pulled over by Officer Maureen Cutler and immediately treats it like a meet cute. She's friendly, but it's definitely professional. Frasier reads basic politeness as flirting anyway. Roz tells him to stop fantasizing and drive.
Yeah, major sparks. Now, it's the right pedal, the big pedal.
When back home, Frasier asks Martin to check with his old friends in the police who the on-duty officer would have been. Then, father and son head down to McGinty's so that Frasier can continue his quest for love and accidentally run into Maureen. But once they've met again and Frasier goes to buy a round of drinks, it does not take long for Maureen's attention to land on Martin, not Frasier.
Wait a minute. Marty Crane? You're Martin Crane.
You're wasting your time in traffic. You're quite a detective.
Maureen gives Martin her card. She wants to go out with him instead. After a clandestine coffee with Niles, Martin decides to go out with Maureen, without telling Frasier anything about it. But Frasier is keen to get out of the apartment to avoid Daphne's girls' night in, and he takes himself to McGinty's where he sees what's really going on. Eventually,
There's no use lying to me. I'm at the lowest point I could possibly be at, so please just tell me the truth.
Frasier struggles to accept that he has been bested by his old man.
Maureen asked me out.
Going down?
But he gets there soon enough, and once the embarrassment has subsided, he is happy for his dad. However, more humiliation awaits him. Love Bites Dog, Season 4, Episode 2. In this episode, Roz sets Frasier up on a blind date with her friend Sharon, a former pro golfer.
She has a body that makes Bo Derek look like Bo Diddley.
A chess player, did you say?
Frasier agrees and is smitten in almost record time as they meet in Cafe Nervosa. But as always, there are bumps in the road ahead. Frasier thinks he can rely on his wit, sophistication, and charm, while Bulldog comes in like a shark.
Wait a minute, Sharon Pete. I know you. LPGA, you won the Denver Open, 1992.
Frasier wants cultured conversation. Sharon has other priorities.
Is that a challenge?
It might be.
If we leave right now, we could get in 9 holes.
Loser buys dinner.
I got a 9 handicap.
You're on.
Sharon is more interested in Bulldog's energy, and she takes him up on a golf challenge. Frasier watches his date walk away with his lowbrow radio rival.
You're right. This stinks! This is total BS.
3 dates and a breakup. Season 4, episodes 19 to 20. Frasier's luck has changed, and he is finding it easier to date once Season 4 has come around. In this episode, he decides to go for a personal best. 3 dates in 3 nights.
I have a date this evening. I have a date tomorrow night. Oh, and let me check my calendar for Sunday. Oh yes, another date.
Unfortunately for his Lothario plans, Martin and Sherry are going through a tough time, and their struggles are going to infringe on his record-breaking spree. Date 1 is Kimberly Egan, a vegetarian and animal lover. Frasier tries to hide his meat-loving tendencies and keep Eddie out of the way, but Martin and Sherry make a mess of his plans.
Free range.
After night 1, Frasier is already rattled. He's juggling his calendar and his dad's drama, and he's losing both.
So, Sherry's there for not more than 30 seconds, and she chases Kimberly right out of the apartment.
Night 2 and date 2. Adair arrives for the date to find Sherry unexpectedly in the apartment. Sherry manages to drop in Kimberly's name, and Frasier is in trouble again.
You mean Kimberly Egan? She broke up my first marriage.
Well, I hardly know the one. I mean, she spent all of 10 minutes here.
Before date 3, he calls Sherry, hoping that helping fix her relationship with his dad will calm the storm and give him a clear runway for third time lucky. But Leslie walks into the same minefield as the previous 2 women.
So, Leslie, what do you do?
Oh, I'm a dermatologist.
Good news, Frasier. If you get lucky tonight, she might just look at that rash of yours.
Yep. Frasier's explanations only add fuel, and the date never stands a chance. By the end, Frasier learns the obvious lessons. You can't plan your way into romance, and you definitely can't break dating records in the middle of your housemate's protracted breakup. Frasier's imaginary friend. Season 5, Episode 1. Back from Acapulco, Frasier meets Kelly Easterbrook, a supermodel who's also a zoologist, and they start dating.
I'm Dr. Frasier Crane from the radio.
Kelly Easterbrook from the magazine.
Yes.
Kelly doesn't want their relationship to become public knowledge, as she was in the process of ending her relationship with someone.
I'd appreciate it if, just for now, you didn't tell anyone about you and me.
When Kelly keeps canceling, meaning that nobody gets to meet the dream woman, Roz jokes that he needs to be psychologically evaluated. Frasier doubles down, insisting she will show up. But he looks increasingly unhinged.
We're your family. We don't care if you haven't been out with anybody in quite a while.
Martin and Niles finally believe him, but it still doesn't help. And then, when Frasier tries to take a photograph of Kelly sleeping next to him, it's as disastrous as you know it's going to be.
You took a picture of me while I was asleep? Get out!
Oh,
Get out!
All right.
Get out.
All right.
The relationship is done before it ever really begins.
Kelly, don't you think we should talk about this? I won't see you again for 2 months.
You won't see me again for a lot longer than that.
Desperately seeking closure. Season 5, Episode 8. A different scenario this time. As the high-powered attorney Samantha Pierce dumps Frasier out of the blue. Frasier was only really with her for the social circles she moved in and who he got to meet.
Suddenly, Donna Karen flew between them, pretending to referee. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my toddy on someone named Puff Daddy.
But being dumped sends him into a downward spiral anyway.
It's not you. It's me. I just don't feel the same way about us anymore.
She breaks up with him without giving him a satisfying reason that will provide some much-needed closure. Then, he turns it into a post-mortem project for the ages. Frasier turns the breakup into an investigation. He replays every detail, quizzes the people around him, and starts treating the relationship like a case that needs a definitive conclusion. He asks for all of his closest friends and family to give him advice and tell him what about him they find unlovable. Martin snaps a little as Frasier overanalyzes. His father tells him,
You analyze everything to death. Sam said it wasn't your fault, but you keep digging around until you drive everybody nuts.
Okay.
They all have their different answers as to what the problem is and what he should do.
If you want my advice, the best thing you can do is nothing. Just leave her be to think about what she's missing out on.
But you shouldn't change yourself just to please her. It's just not healthy. And it doesn't work.
Niles points out Sam probably saw this obsessive streak from day one. Frasier is too busy making a list of his own faults to notice the irony. Later on, Frasier goes to explain his obsessive actions to Sam. She has changed her mind and wants Frasier back and has more celebrity encounters to tempt Frasier with.
I've been in it for all the wrong reasons.
Like what?
Frasier indirectly admits that he was with her because he liked her famous friends more than Sam herself.
So you were with me just so you could be around some famous people?
Frasier Got a Habit, Season 5, Episode 19. Frasier starts seeing Caitlin, a free spirit who feels like fun. Then he realizes the relationship is almost entirely physical.
So now, I would never stay in a relationship if I didn't think there was some real future in it.
Frasier is equal parts thrilled and confused by it. The next morning, he tries to talk himself into ending things. Later, he admits he might be a sexaholic.
I'm Frasier, and I'm a sexaholic.
Niles points out that what they share is basically physical closeness. They part casually, and Caitlin has no hard feelings.
Gee, I don't know. I guess I was kind of looking at this as a nice casual thing. I hope that doesn't disappoint you.
Frasier gives in to his sexual desires one last time, but then it's over. First, Do No Harm, Season 6, Episode 5. Martin sets Frasier up with Marie, the beautiful daughter of one of his best buddies. Frasier decides this has no chance before he even meets her, not believing that this woman can be what his father says.
Yes, well, I have seen Duke. And unless he sired a love child with Catherine Deneuve, I don't like my odds.
But Frasier is wrong, as Duke's daughter is a knockout. And at dinner, Frasier notes that she has compulsive behavior.
Oh, it's just a little quirk of mine. I like to keep things straight, you know, in parallel lines.
Frasier finds this cute, and she continues to exhibit quirks and talk of dreams, which she would like help understanding and addressing. Upon hearing this, Niles suggests that she might be going out with him because of his psychiatric expertise. And naturally, Frasier doesn't take it well.
You're jealous that I'm having sex. Jealous that I'm having hot, passionate, sweaty jungle sex. What are you having?
But gradually, Frasier begins to think about what Niles suggested. Frasier has noticed a pattern, and it worries him. So he tries to test his theory on Marie and turns on and off the professional support to gauge what happens.
Which could be a link to your childhood.
You are so good at this.
But Frasier then finds himself addicted less to Marie, and more to the challenge of understanding her dreams better.
The hunter represents your feelings of anger and abandonment that you've been running from ever since your parents' divorce.
But this realization brings the relationship to an end. He is no longer interested in being Marie's therapist with benefits.
I just feel more like your therapist than your boyfriend.
After there is the confirmation that it's over.
I have the name of a specialist.
Call him yourself.
When a Man Loves Two Women, Season 6, Episode 21. Frasier tries to date Cassandra and Faye at the same time, because both appeal to different parts of his personality in equal measure. Cassandra is worldly, sexy, and flirtatious. Faye is a pastry chef at one of Frasier's favorite restaurants, and she is cultured and intellectual and also beautiful. He leans on careful scheduling and selective honesty to keep both going. It does not go well.
What? You mean you're dating both of them?
As he agonizes over which one to dump, his web of lies gets increasingly tangled. He eventually decides to go with Cassandra.
I was supposed to see Sloane tonight, but I'm gonna call him and cancel.
But after making her cancel her date, he suddenly breaks up with her to be with Faye.
Cassandra, we need to talk.
Finally, he's with Faye. But she soon notices Frasier's self-obsession and lack of conviction about her, as he continues to call her the wrong name. And we all know the rest.
My God, he really does love to talk about himself. Is that another new pair of shoes?
In the end, Frasier's biggest obstacle isn't a lack of options. It's the man in the mirror. He overthinks and tries to manufacture the perfect moment, then acts shocked when it falls apart. So what do you think? Was there someone on this list who could have been the one if Frasier hadn't gotten in his own way? Or was he always headed for a quiet night with Sherry and his Milstein recordings? Drop your pick in the comments. And if you like your Frasier with a bit more self-awareness, make sure to check out our guide to the always wise and grounded Martin. Thanks for watching, and as always,
I'm listening.